It is I, John Reagan, young, common voice for the common man, coming to you today live from Shadyside, Ohio, where I'm going to ask you this question. Are you ready for some hypocrisy? Now, as you may know, ESPN has pulled country singer Hank Williams Jr. and his famous opening song off the airwaves because Hank Williams Jr. had the audacity to say something that they didn't like about President Obama. This is what Hank Williams Jr. said about a golf outing that President Obama had with Speaker of the House, John Boehner. Quote, it'd be like Hitler playing golf with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, end quote. But of course, now, if you ask me, and I'm sure you will, that the punishment here, a suspension of Hank Williams Jr., fits the crime. That's right, they're talking about a suspension. They're not talking about getting rid of him altogether. And there are other examples. Now remember, when Fathead Ed, I Know Nothing, Sergeant Schultz, and MSNBC called Laura Ingraham a Republican whore, remember that? Well, he was suspended for 1 week. He wasn't fired. He's back on the airwaves now. In that case, the punishment fit the crime the same way that the punishment fit the crime in ESPN. ESPN is a private company. They have the right to have whatever spokesperson that they want for their companies. And if they find what Hank Williams Jr. said offensive and they want to suspend him for a week, that's their business. This is still the United States of America. And it is a private company, and if you ask me, I think the punishment fit the crime. But what I do have is a little problem with the hypocrisy from these damn left-wing wackos. And it's just not related to this incident with Hank Williams Jr. These left-wing wackos are making a big deal out of this damn nonsense with Rick Perry and apparently a racial slur that was on a piece of property that him and his father owned years ago. And apparently they think that this racial slur wasn't removed quick enough for them, so that obviously makes Rick Perry a racist. It was all over MSNBC last night on all their cable shows. Every one of them had something about Rick Perry's racial slur that he didn't act quick enough to remove. Apparently, Rick Perry is a racist. But of course, they ignore the great Robert C. Byrd being a card-carrying member of the Ku Klux Klan. They just ignore it. He never was a member of the Ku Klux Klan as far as MSNBC and all these damn left-wing wackos are concerned. And of course, when they are asked about it, because obviously other people have caught them in their hypocrisy, they say, oh, Robert C. Byrd asked for forgiveness. But apparently, Rick Perry is not entitled to any forgiveness. Of course not, because he's a Republican. And even worse than that, he's a conservative, and he's white, so for God's sakes, he must be a racist. Now, getting back to Hank Williams Jr. All right, so Hank Williams Jr. goes over the line, and they suspend him at ESPN. Like I said, the punishment fits the crime. But let's think about what he said and analyze it. Now, who is it that has a diversification and communication czar whose sole purpose is to try and shut down conservative talk radio? Is that the kind of thing that a fascist might do? Well, yeah, I guess so. And then you have Obama and his health care law telling people that they have to buy insurance. And if they don't buy insurance, they could face fines, have their refund checks docked, or face imprisonment for all I know, all because they don't live up to the federal law requiring them to have health insurance. Is that the act of a fascist? It sure looks like it to me. And how about this one? Okay, so you got Obama at this big Labor Day rally in front of the UAW. Okay, so he's introduced by none other than Jimmy Hoffa Jr., who in his introduction says, we need to, quote unquote, take out these guys, meaning, of course, the Tea Party and Republicans. And the next words out of his mouth are, and ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States. And of course, very little is said by the left-wing wackos about this. What they said was, we meant to take them out at the ballot box. Listen, when Jimmy Hoffa tells you you're going to be taken out, we know what it means. So don't try and kid us. But of course, there's even more blatant hypocrisy with these damn people. Look at this. Think about this. When Keith Olbermann was on MSNBC at the height of the Iraq War, he once called George Bush a quote-unquote a fascist. Was Olbermann suspended? Did he have to pay any fines? Of course not. It's all a matter of who's calling who what. If you're a damn liberal, you want to call Bush a fascist or compare him to being a Nazi, that's okay. But let somebody that might have right-wing political leanings, like Hank Williams Jr., do it, and off the air you go for a week. But like I said, the punishment fits the crime. But I'm telling you this right now, Hank Williams Jr. has a right to say whatever he wants to say, at least for now. But it's Obama's people that are trying to squelch free speech. It's them doing it. And somebody like Hank Williams comes around and says something like this, and it just sets them all on fire. Because, of course, he disagrees with Obama. And I say this, Hank Williams Jr., if I were you, I would have pen and paper right now and write a song about your experiences here. Because I'm not a big fan of country music, but by God, I'd listen to that song. Until next time, this is your favorite conservative, Ronald Reagan, saying this to you now. When their hypocrisy starts and it shows up like this Hank Williams Jr. thing, I'm going to point it out because that's what I do. Until next time, I say this now. Hank Williams Jr., look, what you should have said was this, that this whole incident with a golf trip would be more like, say, Vladimir Lenin playing golf with Ronald Reagan, and that would have probably been the smart thing to say because it's probably truer than what you did say. Until next time, I say this now.